This happened a few summers ago when me and my buddies decided to take a vacation on a fancy yacht. We rented it for the weekend, thinking it'd be all smooth sailing and good times. We were out in the open sea, just enjoying the sun, the waves, and some cold brews. Life couldn't get better, or so we thought. There was this one girl, Emily, with us. She was a friend of a friend, and we didn't know her that well. But, little did we know, she was about to become the center of something we'd never forget. The sun started to set. We noticed this other yacht, not too far off, keeping pace with us. It was dusk, so we couldn't see much, but it gave us the creeps. It had no lights on, just gliding through the water like a ghost. We tried to ignore it, but Emily was acting strange, like she knew something we didn't. She kept looking over at that mysterious yacht. That's when we saw them, a group of guys on the deck of that yacht. They were watching us too, and it felt like they were looking for someone. Emily, we laughed it off at first, thinking maybe they were just party crashers or something. But as night fell, things took a sinister turn. Emily disappeared from the deck. We searched everywhere, calling out her name, but she was gone. Then, we heard it. The sounds of footsteps, heavy boots on our yacht. Those guys from the other boat had come aboard, and they were looking for Emily. We confronted them. And they claimed they were just looking for a friend and had mistaken our yacht for theirs. Yeah, right, we were outnumbered, and they were rough-looking dudes. They demanded we help them search for Emily. We had no choice. We searched the yacht from top to bottom, but she was nowhere to be found. As time passed, the atmosphere grew tense, like a storm was brewing. The guys from the other yacht were getting more aggressive, accusing us of hiding Emily. We knew we had to get out of there, and fast. In a moment of sheer panic, we made a run for it. We jumped into our lifeboat and rowed as fast as we could away from that cursed yacht. We didn't look back until we were miles away. That's when we finally spotted Emily. She was floating in the water, unconscious, with a bruise on her head. We pulled her aboard, and when she came to, she was disoriented, mumbling about how those guys were after her. We never found out who they were or why they wanted her, but we never sailed again. It was about 5 years ago when I was just 20 years old. My friends and I decided to have a wild night out on a fancy yacht. We were all so excited, laughing, dancing, and singing like there was no tomorrow. The yacht was beautiful, the breeze was perfect, and the night seemed full of promise. As the night went on, I couldn't help but notice this one guy. Let's call him Mike. Mike had been drinking heavily, and it seemed like he couldn't take his eyes off me. At first, I thought it was just a bit of harmless flirting, but as the hours passed, it started to feel different, unsettling. Mike's obsession with me became more apparent. He'd follow me around the yacht, never saying a word. Just staring with this intense, creepy look in his eyes. Then, things took a dark turn. Mike began to act out, creating a scene on the yacht. He'd scream at the top of his lungs, but his words were incoherent, like he was speaking some strange language. It was beyond unsettling, it was terrifying. People on the yacht started to back away, giving him a wide berth, but he kept coming back to me, as if he couldn't let me out of his sight. I tried to find solace with my friends, but Mike's presence loomed over us. He'd occasionally rush towards me, his eyes wild with an unnatural intensity, and then abruptly retreat. The other girls and I were scared out of our minds, and we didn't know what to do. The night that had started with so much joy and laughter had now turned into a nightmare. I decided it was time to leave. I told my friends, and they understood. We made a plan to get off the yacht as quickly and discreetly as possible. As we made our way to the exit, Mike noticed and started screaming even louder, his words still unintelligible. I was trembling with fear, convinced that he would follow us. Thankfully, we managed to get off the yacht safely and called for a taxi. I remember it like it was yesterday, even though it was years ago. I was on my family's yacht, cleaning it up for our upcoming vacation. You see, it was a tradition for us to spend a week on the open sea every summer, and this year was no different. Little did I know, this trip would turn into the most terrifying experience of my life. As I scrubbed the deck under the scorching sun, beads of sweat trickled down my forehead. The yacht rocked gently, and I could hear the distant laughter of my family members enjoying themselves below deck. I was the responsible one, tasked with preparing everything for our journey. It was during one of my breaks that I saw him. A man, standing near the edge of the boat. He looked disheveled, like he hadn't slept in days. I didn't know how he got on board. Startled, I called out to him, asking who he was and what he was doing there. He turned towards me, and I could see the desperation in his eyes. "Please," he begged, "you have to help me find it. It's here somewhere. I can't leave without it." I was taken aback by his frantic plea, but something in his voice compelled me to listen. He explained that he had hidden something on this very yacht, something so important that his life depended on finding it. I reluctantly agreed to help, my curiosity overpowering my fear. We began searching together, tearing through every nook and cranny. He refused to share any details about what he was searching for, only mentioning that it was a small, black box. His anxiety was contagious, and I couldn't help but feel the urgency in our quest. Hours turned into an endless, nerve-wracking scavenger hunt. The yacht, once a place of leisure, transformed into a labyrinth of hidden compartments and secret storage spaces. Every creak of the boat seemed like a sinister whisper, and the waves crashing against it became a menacing soundtrack. As night fell, we continued our search with flashlights in hand. My family had grown concerned about my absence and joined the hunt. The atmosphere was thick with tension, and the yacht's interior had never felt so claustrophobic. And then, just as we were about to give up, we found it. The small, black box hidden behind a false panel in the cabin. The man's relief was palpable as he clutched it tightly. He didn't explain the contents or the significance of the box, but it didn't matter. We had helped him, and now he could leave. But as he made his way to the yacht's edge to depart, we heard the sirens in the distance. Authorities were approaching. The man's face turned pale, and he whispered his thanks before vanishing into the night, leaving us with the unsettling feeling that we had just become unwilling accomplices in something far more sinister than we could ever imagine.